Indian football. How do you even begin to describe it? It has seen it all. The highs.
Gurpreet Singh. This is what Indian football needed.
And of course, the heartbreaks.
Asian Cup dreams over.
जब तक हम लोग इंडिया वर्ल्ड कप होस्ट नहीं करेगा तब तक हम लोग इंडिया वर्ल्ड कप खेलने वाला नहीं है. The culture is vanished. The ball is to roll in each ground.
But beyond the headlines, somewhere between the noise, exist stories of our culture still waiting to be told.
Hello and welcome back to the Brown Playbook. Joining me today is a guest that I'm very, very excited for. It's Johnson and Arjun, who are the founder and director of Sportfolio Productions. Thank you very much for joining us. No better place to start than this documentary that you guys have made. Start us off with an intro for us.
I think the name of the documentary series kind of explains pretty much the concept of what we want to do. It's called Traveler's Guide to Indian Football, and the idea is simple. We want to go, or rather we've gone to each state that we have filmed in season 1 and tried to showcase the football story from a cultural lens, from grassroots all the way up to professional, the teams that represent that state from the professional level. So that's pretty much the most sort of synopsis way to sum up the series.
Yeah. But then we also focus on what particular connection that state has with football, be it past, present, or even the future. Like, take Punjab for example. There was a legendary player from Punjab. So we've deep dived into that story, how that led to Punjab being known as a place where has so many academies and produces so many kinds of players. So that's the kind of deep dive we do. We hope to do in every state in India, but in season 1 we have 5, which is Sikkim, Punjab, Kolkata, Hyderabad, and Kashmir. So that's how we start.
So what I'm so interested in is where did the idea come from? Like the conception, how it was it whose idea was it? How did you bring each other in? Just talk to me a bit about that.
I mean, Arjun will have a personal or origin story to add to it too. But I mean, growing up for me, my granddad used to play football way back in the 60s. So he would tell me stories about Vijayan and these other players that he watched grow in front of him and play with basically over time. And he would tell me stories about playing in different cities of India. So that's a very sort of nice childhood memory. Then you end up playing football, you get into media because that seems like the best way to work in football in India. And in 2019-20, I finally got an opportunity to work with Arjun when we were working at a previous agency, and we just happened to work on a project making 15 short films on football stories in India for the ISL at that time. And I think the experience, I think Arjun traveled to places like Jamshedpur and Chennai and Bengal and then all over. In I think Calicut, I think in Koduvally, Kozhikode in Kerala, a place which is very well known for sevens football, and it's an insane subculture of football over there.
Oh,
that was the
wow.
first time we were on set.
Yeah.
I think both Arjun, myself, and our editor on this docu, Nikhil, was also there.
Yeah.
And I think somewhere on that trip, we were like, guys, one day we should do this on our own.
Yeah. Because what we witnessed was we were going to film some B-roll at a local match. And okay, I'd been to Jamshedpur, I'd been to Calcutta, I'd been to Bangalore, Chennai. And I saw, the football craze is there. And some visuals did blow my mind. But what we saw in Calicut was next level. A local football match, 20,000 people sitting on stands made by the fans. And there's a referee, there's a trophy, there's a Lamborghini coming in with the trophy. And just the craze of football was next level, and how passionate and loud the fans were. And it was just a local football match. So we were like, okay, this is insane. We really need to like, you know, show this to people. And we did end up putting a lot of that in the film that we made for ISL. But I think what Johnson said is like something clicked in that trip was all these videos that we made for ISL were short videos, like 12-minute films.
Yeah.
And we were like, it doesn't do justice to what we want to put in, because a lot of the things that we wanted to put in, the client didn't really agree, because
Yeah.
everything had to tie it back to ISL. We were like, but this is
This
a
is
great story.
amazing.
This is-
Yeah.
and there was a lot of things that were like without any filters, like people are betting over there, people are like, you know,
Wow.
having a great time, but you can't show everything
Yeah, of course.
on someone else's channel. So that's why we were like, someday we will make this on our own. And then I think over time, continuously working around football,
Yeah.
like we did content for Chelsea, ISL, then yeah, we just did like our own projects. I work with footballers, YouTubers. So I think all of that learning from 2018-19 to now, we started in 2023.
Yeah.
We started the documentary, like really acting on the idea of the documentary
Yeah.
in 2023. So I think everything kind of helped, and we learned so much over the 2 years while we were making the documentary as well. So yeah, that's what's led us to this point that we're out there now.
I'll never forget like the conversation, like the first conversation I had with Arjun. He had just come back from the FIFA Women's World Cup, Australia. So I think you were there for a month
Yeah.
in July 23. So he had just come back and we were meeting at a pub in Holborn. And that's when I told him, hey bro, listen, you remember we
Tell
spoke
them the
about this.
original name.
Yeah. I was like, you remember basically this thought that we had ki one day we'll make this docu-season. I was like, let's give it a shot. And I had written like it under a different like title. I wanted to call it at that time Hitchhiker's Guide to Indian Football. Kind of like on Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So
Yeah.
play on that movie, you know. First instant Arjun was like, nobody's gonna be able to say that.
Yeah.
Or say that or understand that.
Like,
Like,
you need to simplify it. It should be
Yeah.
something that like, you know, sticks, and I think that's when like you're like, okay, Traveler's Guide to Indian
Yeah,
Football.
yeah.
That makes a little bit more
yeah.
sense. And yeah, from there we first thought we'll make a pilot.
Mm.
We went about trying to make the pilot. While making the pilot, we realized, oh, this is like a lot deeper than we thought.
Mm.
Then we went about raising investment to be able to do that. Then after that was made, after that was raised, then go about setting up the team,
Yeah.
then film, and then last 6 to 8 months basically post-production to the point where we are today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, look, both of you are obviously quite passionate about Indian football as it is. What have you guys learned after making this? Because it's Traveller's Guide, and they say travel broadens the mind. So, what are your sort of key takeaways, or maybe themes that stretch across the 5 different places that you went to? Anything that sort of might surprise people?
So I think Johnson, because he was on ground for more of the filming of it, like I was directing remotely
Yeah.
and then I was sitting with the editor. The only episode where both of us were able to be there was Sikkim. But I think looking back at all the rushes and you know the whole process that we've been through, and it's a line that someone says in our documentary, not to give away too much, but they say that no matter what happens in Indian football, you win or you lose, people are always going to be there to support you. Like if you do like one little thing for them, if you make them happy by doing one step over, bro, they will be there for the next match. Because that's what it's about. Like, you know, it's a long and hard journey for everyone working in Indian football, whether you're a footballer, whether you're in the coaching staff, whether you're a kid, whether you're a fan. It's a long journey. Like, don't even mention the World Cup. It's a long journey.
You know what? That's a great point. That's one thing Indian football has found out. True fans, because you know what? They can't get any worse.
Yeah.
And there's still fans there. So
Yeah.
you know, that's
Exactly.
one thing they found out is that they've got some
Yeah.
hardcore fans.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's exactly what someone says. Like, even though the performances might be going down, the viewership and the support is only going up.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the documentary, I think, is mostly about.
Yeah.
That it's fine. Like, we know things are really bad over there and
Yeah.
there's a lot of politics, but look at this. Like,
Yeah.
we found this, like, this.
But I mean,
interesting
that's
story.
what it should be about as well, mainly. Like, I think if you look at how football's become so big elsewhere in the world, it started off with local people having a massive passion,
Yeah.
and then it turning into it. Whereas I feel like, you know, we've done a pod on Indian
Yeah.
football, and, you know, us basically learning about it from here, and then obviously speaking to Ranjit and others now in the industry, and like, I feel like some people have the expectation of just because like we're sort of large economy now and we've got infrastructure now that just means that you're going to get to a stage where you compete for things like the World Cup, not realizing the journey that other countries have gone on in order to get there.
Yeah.
And with India, it's always going to be more complicated because I when I explain it to like others, because you know Indian football fans know about it now. I consider myself one of them now, learning still. But to the average person doesn't really know about it. When I explain it, it's like I explain that it's like India is more like Europe than a country.
Yes.
All these different places that you're going to are going to have vastly different cultures and football
100%.
cultures.
Yeah.
And the system at the national level hasn't quite been sort of shored up just yet, but it will. And when it does, there's going to be different styles of play and different cultures. And I guess that's what you guys are exploring in the doc.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think that pretty much sort of sums up the sort of USP of what we're trying to show or rather create. Because India is so diverse. I mean, it's a continent masquerading as a country. It's how I I explain it to anybody who's not from there. Because like you said, a kid who's growing up in Kashmir and or a player from Kashmir has grown up, played football, has attributes, mental, physical, completely different from somebody who's grown up in Kerala or in Kolkata.
Yeah.
We're all part of the same country. In the same way, like someone from Punjab will have a completely different set of attributes as a player, both physically and mentally, than somebody from the northeast. And we're all part of the same country. The food that these kids are eating from childhood all the way up to they make it pro is different. The ecosystems under which they exist and play football are completely different. Yet somehow, it finds a way to sort of come together and form a national team that is a representation, in my opinion, of the most diverse national team in when you compare it to other sports that India is represented at. So and this is something that I've been giving a lot of thought. So you take cricket for that matter, or you take hockey for that matter, or any other big team sport. Your team will still be very mainland centric.
Yeah.
It will still be very where the heart of the population is.
Yeah.
Football is that unique sport where you will have 5 or 6 players from the northeast. You'll have 2 Manipuri boys. You'll have a winger from Mizoram. You'll have someone from Sikkim. You'll also have a midfielder from Kashmir who's playing alongside 2 kids from Kerala, 2 guys from Bengal, and maybe your goalkeeper and centre back is from Punjab.
Yeah.
So the Indian football team, I think, is probably the best representation of the diversity of our country in sport. And on the flip side of that, I think that creates complications in sort of making a smooth and easy pathway to navigate because it's so different.
But if you can get that, you just explain the beauty, but then you explain the other thing about the putting one thing to the side, but let's show this. That's the positive branding.
Yeah.
So that's why the documentary is so important, right? Because you're trying to highlight the beauty and the corners of India, but then also we don't want to talk too much about the negative, because how we're going to grow the sport and get more people into it or get more people back in love with it is all to do with positive branding and showing stories that obviously connect with people, right? Rather than World Cup, we're ranked so low, AIFF. This is what we want to see, right? It's engaging.
Everyone knows, it's all out there, all the negativities on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube comments. And it's not like we're hiding anything. It's all there. We do mention a couple of things, but then we're there's also this side of the coin.
Exactly.
You can watch this. So our aim with the documentary is just to get people to emotionally invest their time to supporting their local teams. Maybe go watch a local football match. And then hopefully it creates an atmosphere of support. A lot of people, when we did our screening in Mumbai recently, they said, I felt so guilty supporting a European team because I didn't know that this is happening in India as well. So now I might, tune in to watch. So one thing leads to another. It's a trickle down effect. I hope it brings about a positive change as well, from one person to a group of people. I think in one of the episodes in Kashmir, someone says that Kashmir, their goal for Kashmir is not to just be a tourist destination. It should be like a European match day. When you go to Kashmir, you don't just go for the boat rides and the views, but you want to attend a match by Real Kashmir. So that should be part of your itinerary that when you go there. So I hope our documentary somehow helps that.
I think it will. That's what it's all about, like the bottom up approach rather than like what Jay was saying earlier is kind of top down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, let's get ISL and let's chuck a couple of players in there. Great for the short term to get fans in the stadium and a bit of it. But what happens when they retire or go? Then there's no real core, right? I think what you guys have done is exceptional, and that's how it starts, right? You drag people in. Focus on Indian football no matter what level, and then they can advance them up and like focus on any professional teams or Europe. But to get that beauty in is just amazing. But I've got a quick question: is out of all the people you spoke to, professionals, club owners, everyone, who surprised you?
Big question, because we have so many people. I don't know how many interviews did we do. 80?
Over 80 basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
Surprised us.
In any way.
terms of-
In any way.
I'm trying to think.
I mean, I think we'll speak about like the obvious one like a bit later, but I think the one that really like was something that I like wasn't as aware of in terms of the depth of the story and the personality himself
We'll let's say it
was
together.
for me Shabir Ali.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Sorry.
I don't
I'll say this.
I was gonna say Shabir Ali or DMK. I was
Yeah,
One of
Shabir
those,
Ali.
Yeah, Shabir Ali. Yeah.
Why then?
So when we first researched Shabir Ali and we first filmed with him, we were like, okay, he's this insanely legendary player. He's also part of the AIFF technical committee now. He played for Mohammedan, so we played. We filmed with him at the place where all of his trophies were. So we
Just
got
casually in the background.
Yeah. So he's just casually walking around the gallery.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, you see that? We won that in '84. Oh, after this, I actually got the call up for India. And he's just casually talking about everything he won for like one of the 3 biggest clubs India has ever had. But what really sort of was a complete surprise was actually when we filmed with him in Hyderabad. And him talking about Abbas Union, which is basically a team that practices literally outside his house. They played I-League 3, I think, a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And this is a gentleman who's won everything in the game. He's got all the accolades, but the amount of passion and investment of energy he has in making sure that they have a fair shot at football as a career, that just blew my mind. When we saw the footage, because Hyderabad was one that I was in there too.
Yeah.
So that is why Shabir Ali for me.
Yeah. But even for me, I haven't met him, but I want to meet him because of what I've seen in the episodes and the kind of stories that they have. But even like you mentioned, they train outside his house, but you should see what the training pitch is. It's a parking lot.
No.
Yeah, it
Really
is.
not.
And it's there in the episode, the drone shots that we have. So I feel like he's one of the person that really surprised us with the experience that he has. Great storyteller, great person to hang out with.
Yeah.
I haven't met him and I'm saying that.
Yeah.
But because I saw the rushes, that he's treating everyone to biryani, they're having chai. So I think he's one person. And then obviously the big one would be Baichung Bhutia.
Yeah.
Meeting Baichung Bhutia was top 5 experiences.
Yeah. I mean, and I think for pretty much most of us on crew, we're 90s kids, so Baichung's a core childhood memory, before
Amazing.
club football, Baichung was who you thought of football, who you thought of when you heard football as a kid growing up.
Yeah.
I was glad he was wearing an Arsenal hoodie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So was I.
But what was he like? What's his personality like? Because obviously it's surreal seeing someone that parasocial relationship, always on the TV, scoring, giving interviews. But what's he actually like in person? Yeah.
I think Arjun's.
I think he
probably the
definitely
best.
has an aura about him.
Yeah.
We were trembling when we heard okay, he's gonna come in now from the driveway. And Pranay, who's supposed to be on camera with him, greeting him, he's like, bro, I'm bricking it right now. Even everyone was kind of stressed, but it was happy tension. We're
of
meeting our
course.
idol. And so that was the first time we met him, and he was super nice. Obviously he has an aura about him, and we've seen him more than anyone else really, him and Sunil Chetri. We haven't seen Shabir Ali play, we haven't seen any of these legends play. So it's this massive, larger than life figure coming out of the car, but he was super nice, and we were in his homestay, so he made us feel like
Oh,
really welcome.
Nice.
Like he made us like eat all of their food. He was serving us by himself. So I was gassed.
Yeah, right.
That must have been amazing.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
really humble and down to earth, very easy to talk to, and obviously has a lot of stories to tell.
Yeah.
I'm interested now. Obviously, I'm sure you'll get into this in the documentary itself, but I want to be educated before me and you obviously go out to India and hopefully see as much of the places that you've been showing as we can. When I think of like different places in Europe, so like England, what's it known for? The style of football. It's
The pub.
end to end, but on the pitch as well. Like it's
Yeah.
meant to be high energy, high physicality. Spain's meant to be more technical. Italy's all for defense. I wonder if you could shed some light on what the different regions in India that you've seen. What is their football about, and maybe what differences are probably there to see immediately? Because I'm sure this is probably known amongst like really ardent football fans.
Yeah.
But we're still learning about new football, and I'd like to know from the people who've sort of actually gone deep into it.
Like, I think style of play would be a little bit of a stretch to
Yeah.
sort of describe, because there haven't been like teams recognizable from each
Okay.
region. But what you can very distinctly see is the difference in the type of player.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like a player from Punjab is going to be like physically sort of like ahead of most.
Yeah.
Great engine, physical attributes will be top for their age and for their group. And yeah, they generally, I think Ranjit says this well, they're generally the ones who you pick when you want a defender, when you want a center forward or like a goalkeeper, because of the physical stature. Someone from a Kashmir, you'll always see incredible heart. Like, when you grow up playing at such high altitude, like your natural engine is just insane. So you'll see incredible midfielders like Danish, who's currently there.
Yeah.
He's one. Before him, it was Mehrajuddin Wadu and Ishfaq Ahmed, both of them. Midfielders, one defensive, one attacking. And previously, the first Kashmiri captain of the Indian national team, Abdul Majid Kakru, also an attacking midfielder. So engine is what I would say Kashmir is. You can see that Kashmiri players have more than most. Sikkim, I would say, because of the hilly terrain, they're just insanely. It's like work. It's like leg day every day for them. In Sikkim.
Workhorses. Like even if you look at their calves, like people who don't even play football over there have gorilla type calves over there, and they're like, yeah, bro, why are you guys struggling, man? It's just it's just a little steep. That's all.
Yeah. Why are you guys walking so slow? This is routine. So Sikkimese players, from what we saw, insanely, sort of well built, in terms of quickness of feet, very agile, flexible. And Hyderabad, I think Hyderabad was always an interesting question, because Hyderabadi players have not been visible, so to say, for the last 20 years. There's only been one from the state of Telangana or Andhra Pradesh, that has actually played for India at a senior level, from a city that actually gave India 8 Olympians. 6 of the 1962 Asian Games winning team was from Hyderabad. The coach was from Hyderabad.
Yeah.
So when we hear about Hyderabadi players from yesteryear, I think there's this one legend, Yusuf Khan, who was part of the 1962 Asian Games winning team, was also part of Asian All-Star team at that time, so the best 11 players from Asia. His son describes him, describes his dad, because his son didn't watch his dad play either. So he narrates the story where he's watching the 1988 Euros with his father, and he goes in very Dakhni, which is a dialect of Hindi in Hyderabad, he goes 1988 में Euros देख रहे थे मैं वालिद साहब के साथ तो रूड हुलिट को देखा कि नहीं देखा, बोले कि ये मैं हूँ ये ऑफेंस में भी सपोर्ट कर रहा है, डिफेंस में भी सपोर्ट कर रहा है, and that's basically what we've been left with, to sort of visualize or picture these legends of yesteryear. So a lot of, I think India, instead of a style of play, you'd probably get a different kind of footballer in a lot of these places. I'm from Mumbai, he's from Delhi. I think in Mumbai, Delhi, you'll find a lot more street footballers. You'll find players who are a little bit more like natural in terms of like your concrete or
Yeah,
futsal kind
Someone
of
is
game.
able to find a place to play.
Yeah.
Nice street smart.
Yeah.
But apart from that, other states also like Kerala.
Yeah.
What would you say is Kerala?
Endurance. And I think like in Kerala.
Skills as well.
Yeah.
Because they play that sevens football.
Exactly.
Right.
They can take a tackle, bro.
Yeah.
They can take a tackle.
I mean, if you're not ready to get hit, like you can't play football in Kerala. Like whether that is at sevens, whether it's on the beach, whether it's in your school.
Yeah.
Like so, you need to have like this endurance, like to take everything and still continue playing. And like you said, like I think skill is so highly valued because at the end of the day, like sport is about like entertaining the audience, right?
Yeah.
Imagine that scene that Arjun was describing: 25,000 people, basically from 5 villages around where you live, coming to watch like a 77 game. If one of those players who's generally from that area like does a rainbow flick or like makes someone and
Chaos.
puts, like top bins,
Everyone's on the
Yeah.
pitch.
everyone's on the pitch and that guy becomes a local hero for like the next 3-4
Yeah.
months. Like everybody will be like giving him a high
And
five.
there are foreigners in the team as well who
Yeah.
come and play in those
That-
local leagues.
That's like a local. They're trying to do something so commercial and big here with Baller League.
Yeah.
You've basically got a Baller
Yeah,
League
yeah,
there.
yeah,
already.
yeah.
It just needs coverage.
Yeah, it just needs a bit of coverage.
Bro,
Yeah.
and you will get views because even the local football match that we saw, it was being telecast.
Wow.
And they had insane views.
Yeah, it was on Facebook for like basically Malayali diaspora in the UAE.
Wow.
In I think the US, and so like I feel like the sevens football scene in Kerala, it's got a little bit of attention. Not as much as it deserves, but
Yeah.
it still like is known.
It's got a
Yeah,
cult
yeah,
following.
yeah.
It's quite underground, but it's
Yeah,
there.
but you have similar stories across India. So I mean, we were in Bengal.
Mm.
Cape football is basically Bengal's version of sevens. Like
Okay.
I think it's 9v9, something similar. So again, it's like local tournaments, insanely like passionate crowds, tackles flying, like people like pulling off bicycle kicks like from reverse crosses, reverse ball crosses.
Wow.
And it's all just part of like your local culture. Like these guys are playing this game, they're heroes. The next day they're at work. They're probably like people running your grocery shop or
Yeah.
like,
In Kerala, someone said
Yeah.
that line in the Kerala
Yeah.
film that he might score a banging goal. Next day he's driving a rickshaw, bro. That's the kind of people who are like legends in the streets.
That's very cool. It reminds me of like my main sport playing was cricket, and whilst I was out there for 3 years, like the local leagues, like the energy was so different. So I can only imagine what that would be like in a place where like thousands want to get together for a local game. Like we got to do something like
Yeah,
that.
you have to do
We
that.
have to.
It reminds me of like the documentaries I watch. Have you ever heard of the brand And One, the American basketball brand? Basically, what they used to do back in like the 2000s is to rival Jordan and Nike. They basically created this brand called And One, and that in basketball terms means if you go up and you get a shot in and you get fouled, you get the points for the shot. It's called
Yeah.
And One.
Yeah.
Yeah. One, you can get a free throw. So what they did is really smart. They basically created a brand around street basketball, and kind of similar to what you guys are saying is basically like New York basketball street. Obviously, it's basketball instead of football, but that kind of cage grittiness.
Yeah.
And they built a brand around it basically, and what we would call now like ambassadors or influencers. They basically got the best street basketballers to market their shoes, and
Yeah.
obviously that whole crowd would buy their shoes rather than like NBA players.
Yeah.
And they were the same, like they were street basketball players that would work at your supermarket.
Yeah.
So basically, what America did 20 years ago, we somehow need to do to India. But yeah, if you guys had a bigger budget, what would be one thing that you would have included this season, and maybe you will include, obviously, hopefully in the future, the next season?
I think with a bigger budget, if all of us could have been together on
Yeah.
all the shoots and then maybe turned it around quicker
Yeah.
and just be together the whole time, because
Yeah.
right now we mentioned like everyone's got a day job. Like I'm doing my freelance bits, he's doing like partnerships and commercials and talking to our investors. Our editor had to let go of a few projects to just focus on this, just because of the sheer amount of footage that we had.
Sure.
And he had to churn out 5 episodes from like thousands of minutes.
Wow.
So if we had a bigger budget, I wouldn't change anything, any approach, but just the fact that, because I think I did see a big change when I went to Sikkim and I was able to direct the crew a little bit. Because otherwise, if I'm directing remotely from London,
Of course.
I can only give the crew like certain cues, and they've done amazingly well. But if I was there, maybe some things could have been different, or some things could have been better, some things could have been worse as well.
Yeah.
But everything that's turned out, I wouldn't change the output, but how we reached here could have been a bit different. Like
sure.
the logistical side of things, like the crew could have maybe had a better hotel to stay at.
Yeah.
Maybe we wouldn't have to like cram up 6 people in a cab. So it's just those little things like
Fair
people
enough.
carrying equipment, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't change
I think
anything
just
else.
bang on. Like, you know, if we had more money, I think the first thing that I would like to do is just exactly the same. Get more of us together
Yeah.
often. Like, we had a screening in Mumbai, like literally November 16th, like, you know, last Sunday. And that was, I think, the first time I've seen so many people of our crew in one place. And this is like after 2 years of working.
Wow.
on
Yeah.
it. So,
I haven't met so many people
Yeah.
from the crew.
and like I
Wow.
think that is one thing we'd love to have an opportunity to do right next year. Like Arjun said, I think the Sikkim shoot. So I was on set for bits of Kolkata for a little bit of like other like stuff material that we filmed. But when we were in Sikkim together, it was just a whole different vibe. Like just in terms of like when you have that clarity in terms of whatever I want, I can get done right in front of me.
Yeah.
And even for the boys, it became a lot easier because they knew that okay, like they're getting instant feedback, like real time.
Yeah.
So whether it's our DOP Ishit who like wants Arjun's opinion on something like that, he's going. Arjun's right there.
Yeah. Of
Whether it
course.
was like our host and we were discussing okay what angle to take for questioning, like I'm right there. So I think that is one thing we'd love to fix, not just on set.
Yeah.
But also I feel like, post-production, I think it would be great if we had the budget to basically have somebody sit next to Nikhil, like our editor.
Help him out.
And help
Like an
him out.
assistant editor.
Yeah, like just
Yeah.
help him scrub through like the 26, 28 TB of footage that we
Wow.
filmed.
Yeah.
Because it's been, I think the isolating parts of the way our workflow is has been probably the biggest challenge, and I think budget would have probably fixed that.
Fair enough.
Well, look, fingers crossed that, like, this sort of first one, I'm anticipating you guys doing a lot more
Yeah.
on this stuff in years to come.
Hopefully,
So, like, hopefully this first one can get enough traction
Yeah.
such that it frees you up to do bigger and better things, which,
Yeah.
we'll be very, very supportive of and excited to
Whatever
see
we
as
do
well.
is going to be out on Sportfolio
Yeah.
Productions
Yeah.
YouTube channel. So hopefully
So I mean,
that builds an audience over time.
we've committed to this path now with YouTube, so we're gonna see it like through all the way till the
For
end.
season 1.
Yeah, and exactly. Yeah, I mean, I'm talking specifically season. And
Any brands out there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and when
Any
we-
sponsors get out
yeah.
there.
When we finish season 1, like we will sit and assess. Okay,
Yeah.
what do we do next for season 2? Because like you said, we've discussed like all the way up to season 5.
Oh, wow.
Like, we were like, okay, we want to do this in 2. We'll do this in 3. Literally before filming, we were just
Yeah.
discussing that. Oh, we should do 1 or 2, like in season.
And not just football. See, because a major part of our documentary, the storytelling is done by journalists that
Yeah.
we work with, and they themselves have told us stories of like Indian women practicing for ice hockey somewhere,
Yeah.
or like playing rugby somewhere. So these are the kind of stories that that's why our production house is not just football or not
Yeah.
just sports even.
Yeah.
We could like venture out into any story that we feel is worth telling, like,
Of course.
and then it's up to us to find the budget, find the crew,
Yes.
find the time, and just tell it, because these are worth telling.
Yeah.
These stories.
And I think the idea of sort of setting this company up also was like, because we've all been working for agencies, like for like, clients, and every time you wanted to get a project commission, no matter how good or bad the idea was, it was just instantly like a brick wall that you're talking to.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to be able to create a ecosystem where if we have a good idea and if we can somehow manage to secure like a budget enough to get it like
Just go
started,
out and make it.
give us an opportunity to just do that. And I think that's the idea like that Arjun was talking about. Whether it's football, whether it's like any niche sport, whether it's any Olympic sport for that matter. I mean, the idea is stories, and like sports are full of stories. So more opportunities,
Yeah.
like the better.
I love
Yeah,
that.
that's
That's an
perfect.
amazing point to end. Make sure you check out that series. It's available on YouTube, and we're going to link it in the description below. Yeah, thanks for coming. And
you.
yeah,
Thank you.
fingers crossed.
Cheers, guys. Thank you
Cheers,
for
guys.
watching.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.